I'm John Bryant. We're glad to have you today on our Driven podcast. We have Nathan with us as always, and Nathan is pastor of Longview Missionary Baptist Church. And I know this is airing a few weeks after the AVA meeting, but Nathan spoke tonight to us, and the Lord, the Holy Spirit spoke to our hearts. And I thank the Lord for the message that he gave.
Thanks, man.
To the messengers here in Tulsa. And we're glad today to have John Lau with us. He's going to be sharing some thoughts about church planting in Indianapolis and what God has done there.
Good to be here. John, it's awesome to have you with us, man. It's cool to be here. We're sitting at a booth at the messenger meeting Tuesday night. There's a buzz in the air.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
John, Circle City Church Planting. As a matter of fact, most people were listening, but if you were watching the video version of our podcast, we've got these cool Circle City Church Planting coasters. Man, tell us what God's doing through Circle City Church Planting, because it's different what you guys are doing. It's kind of out of the regular mode of normal church planting, but I would say it's biblical. It's the Pauline cycle, right? So
Absolutely.
Tell us about Circle City Church Planting.
Yeah, well, the vision started 5 years ago when we planted Church on the Rock, and we began talking about planting a church in the city of Indianapolis. We started out like a lot of churches do. We said we wanted to plant a church that was mission-minded, had its focus on missions and sending new churches out. And most churches, I believe, especially in our association, are planted that way. We are a very mission-minded association, and that's kind of what we do as Missionary Baptists, is we plant churches who are mission-minded. And we kind of had that similar mindset. In the beginning, we believed that it would look very similar to a lot of the churches that are planted stateside right now look like. The church planter goes in 5, 6, 7, 10 years, whatever it takes to establish a church that is self-supporting and self-sustaining. You see the man who was the church planter stay oftentimes and become the pastor. And many times what a mission-minded church looks like is the church planter stays in a sending pastor capacity. Nothing at all wrong with that model. It's a beautiful model when it works. But we believe that God really has called us to do something a little bit different than that. In our association for years, we have seen a model on the foreign field where we teach about indigenous churches and what that looks like. And a foreign missionary will go into Kenya, Africa, to Lithuania, to Moldova, to any country that they may go into, and we talk about indigenous churches is a model where a missionary goes in and he raises Kenyan men to plant Kenyan churches and raises Kenyan men to pastor those Kenyan churches. This is the model of indigenous church planting. But for whatever reason, we don't see that stateside very often. Really is what our model comes down to, is we want to raise neighborhood pastors within the city of Indianapolis and the different neighborhoods, because Indianapolis is a diverse city, and we see each neighborhood, whether we're talking about Broad Ripple, or we're talking about Fountain Square, or we're talking about Tinker Street, we're talking about Mass Ave, we're talking about Brownsburg, where we're at with Church on the Rock currently, talking about Plainfield, Zionsville, any of these target areas that we've identified within the city, each neighborhood has its own little subculture within itself. And so that really is the vision and the heart that we have, is we want to see neighborhood pastors raised up within each neighborhood to continue pastoring those churches as we plant them, and a true indigenous model within a city and the subcultures within the city.
Right.
So it's unique, but we've seen it for years.
And one of the cool things that's working real well for you is it's not like you're a Southern kid that showed up in Indianapolis to do this.
Right.
You were born and raised in this city. This is your city.
Absolutely, yeah. Born there, raised there on the northeast side of Indianapolis. Moved away for a couple years for seminary, came back, worked in a church there as a youth pastor for a while. Really believed that God had called us to the foreign field. We had surrendered to go to the foreign field and work in Belize with another missionary, kind of like a long-term internship, missionary partnership in Belize. Everything that we began to pursue in Belize felt like God closed that door and just wasn't the right timing for us, wasn't the right place for us. Experienced a lot of frustration in ministry for a couple years of, God, where do you want us to go? We've surrendered.
So in other words,
you
prefer 10-degree wind chills to 110-degree heat indexes, right?
Yes. Well, I went to seminary in Florida, so I was a little bit familiar with the weather in Belize and how it would have been, but man, yeah, totally different worlds. But yeah, we God called us to the city ultimately of Indianapolis and began to really impress on our hearts. He had sent men into our lives for years through seminary and through different training events. God had sent men into our lives who really impressed on my heart this concept of indigenous church planting. And it was like a light bulb went off one day when we just understood and realized you are the indigenous church planter. These are your people. God's called you to reach your people and in turn teach others to reach people from their neighborhoods. And so it's cool to see how God works and how everything comes full circle, and He's got a plan even when we don't see it.
So you currently have a church there that you
Yes.
have been working with. Tell us a little bit about that start and
Coder
what
Bob.
that church
Coder
is.
Bob.
Yeah, we call it Coder Bob because it's Church of the Rock Baptist of Brownsburg.
Yes.
It
There you
spells
go.
Coder Bob. Tell us about
on the
Coder
Rock
Bob.
Baptist of Brownsburg.
That's right.
We've shortened it recently. It's referred to by our people as Coder now. We thought Coder Bob was a little long and overdone, so just Coder most of the time is what it's referred to now. But yeah, honestly, in the beginning, I was 26 years old when we started Church on the Rock, and combination of inexperience, combination of lack of leadership in my own life. God saw it fit. He sent men at the right time to lead me and to guide me and to help mature me in my walk with Christ, both personally as well as in my leadership abilities and skills with others. And so God sent some amazing men in my life at the right time to help me there. But we did a lot of things wrong when we started Church on the Rock. We were blind to a lot of things. We dropped into the city of Brownsburg, and it was just my family was living there. We moved there in February of 2011. The story is a little bit it's a little bit tough due to some things that had been shared with us about how the salary system works. We were going on to the salary through the American Baptist Association. We had in our minds and in our hearts that we were going to go in and begin to build relationships within the city, and then we would launch probably January of 2012, if not Easter of 2012. We ended up launching in July of 2011 after finding out in June of 2011 we needed to begin reporting some numbers to the American Baptist Association. And so, there again, that just speaks to the inexperience that we had in the beginning and a lot of the things that we did wrong. Looking back on it now, had I had the leadership skills then that God has allowed me to grow into now, I would have been able to just stand up and say for ourselves, no, if God is calling us to do it this way, we need to do it this way, regardless of what that looks like with a salary or not. If I need to get a bivocational job, I'll work bivocational, whatever that may be. But we started with just my family living on the ground. We had one other family that was driving from about an hour northeast of us in the city, and we had another family that was driving from about an hour and 15 minutes southwest of us and kind of meeting in the middle in Brownsburg. And those were our beginnings. So we literally started with those three families. The family that was driving from an hour and 15 minutes southwest of us, they were the first family. Evan and Lori Scioto are their names. Evan was the first person we saw saved through the ministry of Church on the Rock and through a ministry there in Brownsburg. So baptized Evan and Lori and his family. And the first couple years, we saw a lot of very good things happen, but we saw a whole lot of struggles as well. I really believe that the turning point for us and what has kind of molded and modeled the rest of not only planting Church on the Rock, but our philosophy and our mindset towards planting churches in the city of Indianapolis was when we met Rashad Cunningham. Rashad Cunningham was saved about 5 years ago. In 2011, I believe, is when he was saved. Shortly after that, felt God calling him into ministry. Rashad is from Brownsburg and graduated high school in Brownsburg. And when through City Reach, Nathan was there this year. We did a block party. We met a family, and that family was mutual friends with us and with Rashad. Rashad came to me and he wanted to know, who are you? What are you guys all about? What are you doing with my people? That was his language. That's how he worded that. And when he identified the people of Brownsburg as his people, and God had called him to ministry and to preach the word of God, and God had called him to his people, that's when things really began to open up in my eyes, and I started to really think and pray and do a lot of research into the idea of neighborhood pastors and raising up neighborhood pastors within a community. For example, we're looking at Fountain Square as one of our target areas. In Fountain Square, there's 118,000 people within a 3-mile radius of the point of Virginia and Prospect Streets in the city of Indianapolis. I refuse to believe that there's not a man called of God to pastor the people in Fountain Square and 118,000 people. We've just got to find him. We've got to discover that. We've got to go in there and do the work that's necessary to build relationships and find out who that is and identify a neighborhood pastor that God's going to raise up to pastor the people in Fountain Square. So
Many church planters, I'm sure, go on the field and experience a lot of struggles.
Oh yeah.
And setbacks and discouragements. So how did you deal with that? And obviously you've stuck with it, even though it was tough at times.
Yeah, we're getting ready to finish our 5th year there. July will be 5 years that we've been in Brownsburg. So we've been blessed to see a church do so well and to grow to the point that Church on the Rock has grown to, and to see leadership come and join our team with us at Church on the Rock, both internally and a few of them externally as well that came in to join with us. We've been blessed to see that. I would say that honestly, one of the things that really helped us get through that, we had to lean on our sending church. Flatwoods Missionary is our sending church, and they are absolutely an incredible people. For the first couple years, our sending church, we had a great relationship with them, but it was kind of a hands-free relationship. They had great trust in me. I had served as youth pastor with this church previously, and so it was kind of just, there was so much trust, it was almost a fault. It was like, we've seen what you do, you grew up in this church, you served as youth pastor here, we trust you, go do your thing. And it was trust. That's a good thing. It's great to be trusted, it's great to be known and to be loved. But it was almost to the point of a fault, where they just kind of said, we trust you to do what God's called you to do, go do it and you'll do a great job. When Flatwoods came on board with us as our sending church, they took a lot of the restrictions that we had and a lot of the burdens that we had, a lot of the struggles that we had been facing, and when we shared the vision with them, it wasn't an attitude of, well, that's a great vision, we know that you're going to do this, you're going to give it your best effort. It wasn't an attitude of, well, we know that you want to do this, but we're not sure how it's going to happen. It was, I'm going to share the vision with you, I'm going to share what God's called us to do, and then they expanded the vision, and they took it to the next level, and they moved it from, this is what God wants you to do, but have you also thought about this? What if God took you here? And they started to add new dimensions into the vision, and what if it looked like this? And what if the vision moved from a citywide church planting vision to a regional church planting vision, and we moved 2.5 hours north to the city of Chicago long term? Let's look at a 20-year plan and what that would look like and what that would think. And a lot of what helped me get through the discouragement and the struggles were the times where Flatwoods took the vision that I had and took the struggles that we were going through, and they said, okay, trust God, move forward, and what about this? Let's expand the vision, let's enlarge the vision. And
that's a great message for sending churches too. That people who are hearing this about their partnership with their missionary church planter.
So I have a great question here. So we know what Circle City Church Planting is about. We've learned that. Where did you get that name? What does it mean? What's a Circle City Church Plant?
Circle City is one of the nicknames of Indianapolis.
Okay.
Indianapolis has a lot of nicknames. Monument Circle is in the heart of Indianapolis. One of our vision videos we recorded from Monument Circle. I was up in the tower for a little bit talking about the different target areas that we can see around the city. Also the oval track of the Indianapolis 500. It's a racing culture within the city. A lot of the guys at City Reach came and hung out at the track for a little bit, and so there's a lot of things in the city that are based around the circle. Interstate 465 makes a loop around the city as well, and so it's just kind of picking up a nickname for itself as Circle City, and we just wanted to identify with that and let the city of Indianapolis know that we're here. This is something that is centered on and is focused on you, and we want to be for the city and in the city and love the city that we're a part of.
Awesome. Well, man, any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to share with us before we finish up?
Man, I appreciate.
How can we help you? How can we become a partner up with, help Circle City Church Planting?
Number one, I think the biggest thing that we are praying for right now is someone to walk alongside us in ministry partner. My wife and I are committed to this, and we have a team of 11 total people, including 4 kids, so 7 adults, 4 children, that have committed to come and walk alongside us in future church planting. We believe that with Circle City Church Planting, that God is moving in the city, and we will see multiple churches planted demonstrating the grace and love of Jesus in the city of Indianapolis. And because we believe in that, we know that there are other people out there that want to be a part of a vision like this, And whether it's somebody in our churches, if it's somebody listening to this, if it's somebody that this podcast gets shared, whatever, on social media somewhere, and somebody hears this, we need people that will partner with us. Our website is circlecitychurchplanting.com. Check out that website. There's application processes on there for internships. We are always looking for short-term interns and things of that nature, but more than anything, there's a sense of people that are on board and they want to follow us in this vision. We're looking for a Barnabas to come walk alongside of us, to encourage us in ministry, to do this together with us, to take ownership of this vision and say, not only do we want to be a part of Circle City Church Planting, but we want to take ownership of this vision with you. As far as personality go and things like that, I'm very, very heavily in SC personality in the DISC assessments, very much a supportive cast. We're looking for that eye. We're looking for somebody who can come in and take charge of this and say, hey, this is something that I'm going to promote and I'm going to do with all of my ability and all of my strength, and very much so the face of an organization. I'm not good at being the face of an organization. I'm happy to admit that. It's not my strength. It's not my strong suit to be the face of an organization, but I'm the guy that's in the corner and running numbers and crunching details and saying, here's where we need to go and here's what we need to do, and directing it behind the scenes on a supporting cast. So that's what we're praying for. Somebody to walk alongside us and become a Barnabas in ministry and take ownership of this vision with us.
You've done an amazing
and
job.
Really take it to the next level.
You've got a great start.
I can't give my team enough credit. My wife, Megan, ministry partner, Sarah, that has come alongside us as a creative director, Sarah DeWetta. She's done an incredible job helping us promote it with social media and creating websites. My team, can't speak highly enough of them. The guys who are staying behind at Church on the Rock, Rashad and Jason and Josh and Jonathan and Clinton, those guys are incredible. So think the world of them, and really couldn't do it without them. God's blessed us with an incredible support cast, an incredible team with Church on the Rock and the future of Circle City Church Planting.
Well, John, it's good to have you on today, man. We appreciate you sitting in, and we'll be praying for you, and I pray God does awesome things in reaching Circle City, Indianapolis, for the gospel.
Awesome.
Hey, for John Bryant and John Lau, man, it's awesome to have you guys on the podcast today. Tune in next time.